You are with the big story here. I'm Seher Zama. Today we're discussing the developments that have taken place in Bandipur. It has turned political because now the Congress MP from Wayanad, Rahul Gandhi, has joined in. He's joined the Bandipur protest against the night travel ban on the National Highway 766. This is the ban from 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. Protests reignited recently after the Supreme Court had asked for an alternative to the highway which passes through the Bandipore Tiger Reserve. The stretch that remained closed for night traffic for the past 10 years since 2009 was to avoid wild animal casualties. Protesters here claim that this will cause severe inconvenience to everyone. But now these protests that have now taken a political turn. You have Congress MP stepping in and backing the protesters there. Rahul Gandhi saying that this decade-old ban has caused enough hardship to people. He has promised to find an intelligent solution to this. But wildlife activists earlier irked by this, they've been saying that this night traffic had led to the deaths of several animals, including tigers from the national park, the national park, and therefore the ban has served well to protect wildlife. I'm going to throw this open to our panelists in just a bit. Let's get in those inputs first from our correspondent Srija, getting us those details here. Srija, given the fact that you have the Congress MP from Wayanad, Rahul Gandhi, stepping in on this here, saying that this is going to be causing a huge inconvenience. This has inconvenienced people. But it's important here to remember that this has been a ban since 2009. It has only further been reinforced with the Supreme Court giving the same ruling that this is a ban that needs to continue to protect wildlife. What is this inconvenience that he's talking about? Has he specified on that? Because even in the wake of this ban, emergency vehicle, limited government bus services were still allowed to ply in a very limited number with this overnight ban.
That's right, Seher. In fact, even in the wake of this particular ban, you have seen several wildlife activists, conservationists, they're coming out in the open. They are also saying that this particular ban should not be lifted. And for only one reason, because remember, it's going to be proving very disastrous for the wildlife, especially this particular national highway. We're talking about connecting Bandipur Tiger Reserve in Karnataka and also to various towns passing through Wayanad district in Kerala and also Sultan, especially people from Sultan Bathery as well as Kalpetta. Now, these are some of the cities in Kerala that we are talking about. It's been over a week. All the people, especially nearly 5 organizations, including women, children, and also students, have taken to streets. They are demanding that this particular night traffic ban be lifted. And it is just this morning we're looking at where the constituency, Wayanad constituency MP Rahul Gandhi, he landed in Wayanad. He is also taking part in the protest. He's also hearing them out. Remember, they're also saying that they need this ban to be lifted. Of course, there are several people questioning the rationale behind this. Why would a leader support, especially, which is going to prove disastrous for wildlife? But we also hear that since he is the MP, and remember, he wants to support the demands of the people, he also says that he will be putting forth more pressure, especially on the central government, asking them to look into this particular issue once again.
But Srija, what is this balanced, intelligent solution is he looking at? Because there have been studies since this ban has been there since 2009. Now there has been a study to show that how much of this ban has proved to be beneficial to protecting wildlife. Earlier there used to be 100 deaths on that national highway. Now it has come down to 5 to 10 on an average. So what is this intelligent solution that he's looking at? What could be worked out then?
Well, there is one particular solution and it has always existed, Seher. We're talking about an alternate route. Now, the alternate route we're talking about where especially people from Karnataka will have to use the Hunsur Road, Gonikappal Road to in fact go to or reach Wayanad district in Kerala. So it is not necessary they have to really take this particular national highway, because there is another alternative which has already existed for the last 10 years. And this particular alternate route that we're talking about is just 30 kilometers long, which is it will take you only about an hour extra.
Okay, so there has been an alternate route existing, which is why one doesn't understand what has triggered these sudden protests, only because the Supreme Court has just reinforced an existing ban. What are these inconveniences that we're looking at? How have people suffered in these past 10 years?
Well, as per the demands of people from Wayanad and also Malappuram districts, what they tell us is that it's been very difficult for them to commute or take this particular, especially the national highway that we're talking about, connecting Bandipore Tiger Reserve in Karnataka and also in Kerala. Now, this particular route shuts in the night, that is from 9 p.m. The traffic ban is from 9 p.m. to the next morning, which is 6 a.m. So during that period of time, no vehicles are allowed entry through this particular route. But, however, we understand people are allowed to take another alternate route. Now, what the people are suggesting is that they do not want to go on the alternate route. They do not want that particular solution. Instead, they are, in fact, standing especially only on this particular route that they want to travel. And we understand that the activists, environmental activists, including Karnataka government, is not in the favor of lifting this particular ban, because we have seen in the recent past several deaths, wildlife deaths have also been reported. In order only to bring down these deaths, we understand that Karnataka government wants to save especially the wildlife. They're not, in fact, standing for this particular protest.
Okay, stay with us. Let's get in our panelists. We're going to have Mr. Anish Andheria, President of the Wildlife Conservation Trust, with us. We also have Mr. Abhishek Rajaram, political analyst. First to you, Mr. Rajaram, given that you have each of the respective governments, two states that are affected by this, being Karnataka and Kerala, making it very clear that this is a ban that has existed, this is a Supreme Court order that needs to be respected, there can be no violation, and there is enough research having done to prove that this ban has worked positively in protecting wildlife and has not caused any such grievous inconvenience to people. Do you think this is turning political? This is now only a political game?
So whatever is happening today, it is unfortunate, because when we see that it is not a protest by only Congress, Youth Congress, Democratic Youth Federation, Youth League, Yuva Morcha, all are there in the protest, because this route, which is taken by hundreds of students daily, and it is also affecting tourism there. Now the problem is, between Bethe and Mysuru, the total distance between these two cities is 98 kilometers, and the alternative route which has been suggested, that is 217 kilometers. Also, in the night, 6 buses each from Kerala and Karnataka are allowed to travel, and emergency vehicles are also allowed. Absolutely. Now the problem is that because of this ban, this was implemented in 2009. It has been going on in 2000. Yes. This was started by Deputy Commissioner Wildlife by Karnataka. Now, this has become a political issue, because from past 10 days, almost 10 days, there has been hunger protest going on, which has started on 25th. The locals are very much agitated.
That's right. So, Mr. Abhishek, we understand the history of this case here, but we're trying to figure whether these protests now are politically motivated, because one doesn't understand why students are protesting. There is no night traffic, overnight traffic that students would need to avail of. And if this has continued, this kind of restricted traffic has continued since 2009, what has suddenly changed?
The problem is that, the night travel is very much frequent in southern part of India. Normally, people don't travel in daytime. When they have to travel from one city to another city, they usually take private vehicles during the night time, and they travel from one state to another state. For example, night travel from Coimbatore to Kerala or such like that. The problem with this is hundreds of students daily travel from Mysuru to Wayanad, and tourism is also affected, and also farmers are being affected, because they have to travel alternate route which is almost 217 kilometers rather than taking a short route of 98 kilometers. And please do understand, this protest was not started by the
if
Congress
Rahul
party.
Gandhi
It was
talks
started
about an
locally.
intelligent solution,
all
suggesting
of the
an elevated highway, which he said he would mention to the Kerala Chief Minister
the
here.
Solution,
would an elevated highway serve the purpose then?
Highway. Now this was. Hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear
Hello.
you.
Hello. Yes. Now.
Okay, we're going to be reconnecting with Rajaram on that.
This protest was not started by any particular party. This was started locally, and Rahul Gandhi met with CM of Kerala also, which has promised that he will take care. He would take care this matter forward, and he had discussed with Environmental Minister Prakash Javadekar also, and he has suggested that we should go with an elevated highway where this stretch could be covered. Now the issue is the Karnataka, which is saying that they outright reject the proposal of having a highway. Now, nobody is against wildlife. Everyone is agreeing to the point that there should be wildlife, there should be support to and safety of environment, but that shouldn't be against the development. Development and environment both should go hand in hand. For example, for making Delhi Metro, don't we cut trees?
Yes, it's important to strike a balance here on that. What are the kind of expenses that could be incurred here in building that elevated highway? Yes, please stay with us. Let me get in those details from our correspondent Srija. Srija, since this is a solution that is being looked at, has the government come forth in calculating these expenses that would need to be incurred now that this is being established as a stress factor for people? They're protesting, not just people saying tourism is being affected, students' life being affected. So the nature of expense that would be incurred now in the construction of that elevated highway, and how many years are we looking at that?
Well, Seher, one major thing that needs to be looked into this particular issue is that it's added political color with already Rahul Gandhi arriving in Wayanad, because remember, he's also supporting the protesters at this point in time. We are looking at the hunger strike, which has already gained momentum. Now, the question once again comes up. Remember, it's been already 10 to 11 years this particular ban has been in place. Now, the question arises, why now? When all this while there was no problem whatsoever, especially with the people here in Karnataka, or for that matter, even for the citizens in Kerala when they were already using the alternate route. Now, why now only is the question, because remember, we have experts also talking about where he is, this, as far as Rahul Gandhi is concerned, this is just another political mileage, one. Second thing, as you pointed out, development. When it is development, it is definitely the cost is borne by the center as well as with the state as well, which is the 50-50%, or it's going to be 70 and 30%. Now, that's how the costs are calculated. But again, building another elevated corridor once again through Bandipore forest is still not a solution, is what especially environmentalists are telling, because what they're telling is that they will continue to in fact fight with citizens using this particular alternate route. They clearly do not want an elevated corridor coming up, especially in this particular Tiger Reserve. Neither they want.
We have with us Mr. Anish Andheria, who is the president of the Wildlife Conservation Trust, with us. Mr. Andheria, thank you for being with us. Have you taken into account the argument that primarily, yes, of course, this is to protect wildlife in the given area, but it has also caused inconvenience to the people in the past 10 years?
Okay, so first of all, this particular road in question is, the issue around the road was settled by the Supreme Court, none other less than the Honorable Supreme Court more than 10 years ago. And there is traffic on this road on the day, and this ban was put in place because of a detailed scientific study done on the negative impact of the vehicular traffic on wildlife there. Bandipur is not just one forest. You cannot look at Bandipur in isolation from the Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve is a much larger landscape, and it is the best and the most viable tiger and Asian elephant habitat in the whole world. And so it is, in status-wise, it is greater than RBI Bank. And so it's like building a road through RBI Bank in the middle of the bank. And so what you're talking about, Wayanad, obviously there is some amount of inconvenience. But I have worked in that forest. I have researched in that forest for several years now. And when I know a lot of people in Sultan Bateri, they also pass through this road on the day. I don't think there is any unrest amongst people. There is an alternative route, even if it's longer. If you can use technology, make it wider, and if the vehicular traffic can go faster on it, you can easily cut. It can be traversed in about 15 to 20 minutes. So I don't think that's a very, very big price to pay.
Right, it's an alternate route which is at least 16 kilometers longer, which is being used for the past 10 years since the ban here. But Mr. Anish, the fact that this is now a ban, with the reason why these protests have intensified, which is only for the aggravated people, because people felt that there is a chance to revisit this, but now the Supreme Court has reinforced this ban here. The solution that is being looked at, or only just being spoken about, as was indicated by the Congress MP, Rahul Gandhi, saying that he's spoken to the Chief Minister, wants to find an intelligent solution, talking about building an elevated highway. If an elevated highway is built in that area, is that fair enough, or do you think that also is going to be damaging the environment there?
So let me give you some more statistics. So only 1.3% of India is core critical tiger habitat. 1.3% of India. So what India has not achieved by building roads in 98.7% of India, how can we even use that as road? How do we connect this road with development? Because if we think that India is not developed by constructing roads in 97.3% of India. This is just 1.3% of core critical habitat. In fact, there should be no road in
No, but that doesn't answer my question. My question is very specific. If we talk about an intelligent solution, is elevated highway that intelligent solution? Okay, let's get in more voices. Let's get in more voices here, because you haven't answered my question. Mr. Brijesh Kalappa of the Congress with us on the phone line, Sancheta Raju, BJP with us on the phone line here as well. First to you, Brijesh, thanks for being with us. A question's being asked on why Rahul Gandhi has chosen to step into the protest, which seems that it has now become political. If these have been protests only recently intensified suddenly for no reason, why would you have Rahul Gandhi step in, given a voice to an argument which goes against a Supreme Court ruling?
You see, as a member of parliament from Wayanad, Mr. Rahul Gandhi is entitled to say what he's saying. But as far as I, who belong to Coorg, is concerned,
yes,
I would certainly oppose the fact that, this night traffic shouldn't be allowed. I would certainly say that night traffic should not be allowed, and night traffic in Bandipur area is going to cause a lot of difficulty and a lot of harm to the jungle animals, and it's going to be hazardous. So
absolutely. But Brijesh, while you say that, so you're not in agreement with what Rahul Gandhi said, though. You yourself cannot understand what has caused him to stand by these protests, which is a clear violation of the Supreme Court, which is a violation of the argument of protecting wildlife, which has proved in the past 10 years that this ban has been positive in protecting wildlife in the area.
That is for the people of Wayanad to know, and Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who represents Wayanad, to voice those concerns for the people of Wayanad, because obviously their trade and commerce is being affected. But we have a completely different argument, and we feel that this is going to be hazardous, and it's something which is going to destroy the animal population there, and we are certainly opposed to it.
Right, and you don't think that it is causing any stress to people? Why do you think people are protesting?
People may be protesting for their reasons which are hurtful to the trade and commerce, obviously, because if there is night traffic which is allowed, then a lot of the goods could reach and so on and so forth. But those are not arguments which everybody buys in the International Congress. That is specific to the needs of Wayanad.
Okay, Mr. Brijesh Kalappa of the Congress, not too forthcoming in why Rahul Gandhi has exactly taken that stand. But thanks for expressing your personal view on this very clearly. Stay on with us if you can, please. Let's get in Sancheta Raju of the BJP with us as well. Sancheta, thanks for holding the line here. Do you feel that there is a cause that further needs to be investigated. Investigated in the sense that this needs to be revisited. If this is an issue that has caused inconvenience to people, let's revisit it, let's reconsider, let's find out a better solution.
I don't think under any circumstances this should be revisited. I applaud what the predecessor just said, where he said that this is in the larger interest. You know, this is one of our tiger reserves, not just like cutting one tree and planting another tree in another area. It's very unfortunate that Mr. Gandhi is going to be on the wrong side of history. I understand that there may be inconvenience for the people in the local community, but like you correctly pointed out, there is an altered route 35 kilometers longer. Yes, there's a little longer, but instead I hope Mr. Gandhi should have taken up that cause to say how do we improve accessibility, how do we reduce inconvenience instead of adding fuel to the fire. Because this is nothing more than politics. At the end of the day, this is a tiger reserve. And there have been many scientific studies, like the previous panelist pointed out, which actually shown how when we approach night traffic, increase sustainable growth in the forest area and the tiger population in their mating patterns. And this is something that we should all welcome.
All right, stay with us. Anish, please go ahead and complete your point, because if this is really a serious concern here, as being witness to these protests now, and also with Rahul Gandhi lending voice to the people of his constituency, if this is really a serious concern for people in finding another solution, the solution of the alternate route of the past 10 years has not worked, is the elevated corridor that solution then?
So no, so the fact remains that it is cutting through the core critical habitat. It is, if you look at the Wildlife Protection Act, clearly core critical wild tiger habitats need to be completely inviolate. Currently, the road is going because it predates the declaration of the Tiger Reserve. However, if this road was cutting through the buffer zone or was in the corridor, we could have talked of the elevated road there. But inside the core critical habitat, there has to be status quo. So what existed before the declaration should continue. If there is a mitigation possible, it should be in the alternative route, because that also cuts through the corridor. So there is nothing like, it's not a barter system here. This is the constitution of the country, and one rule applies in all states. It doesn't matter it's Wayanad, Kaziranga, or it is Ranthambore. It just doesn't matter. So we cannot dilute our rules. And if Supreme Court has taken a decision, it is based on several investigations. Now to revisit, that way we can revisit everything that's there, and it's actually wasting the Honorable Supreme Court's time.
All right. Okay. Yes, we got your point. Abhishek, please respond to that. Are these protests futile, or are some looking at this now politically motivated? Because it did start off as a people's protest before Rahul Gandhi stepped into it to lend his voice to the people of his own constituency there. But are these protests futile? Because the Supreme Court has made its decision as well. Should this be revisited?
So, ma'am, the issue is that the protests were going from past 10 years itself. From the very first day, the ban was implemented. Now, because it was in the court and people have an expectation that court will give them justice and it would provide them some sort of respite. Now, when they lost in Supreme Court, and Supreme Court favors the ban, now all of the youth wings of all political parties, they came together, and from 25th of September, they are on relay hunger strike. Now,
no, but there's a
Rahul
reason why the
Gandhi
Supreme Court agreed with the ban.
MP
Perhaps
of
people have
Wayanad.
not been able to convince
So,
the
if a
court enough
protest
on
is
how
going
they're
on-
suffering.
let me
Along
make a
what
point, ma'am.
aspects of their life are they protesting? Because the other party has provided that proof in saying if you had an average of 100 animals being hit by heavy vehicles, now that has come down to just 5 to 10. So that is obviously a stronger argument that perhaps that was put forth by the people in not being able to justify how exactly are they suffering, which is why exactly we were exploring this on why these protests are turning political, if at all. I'm afraid we run out of time. Appreciate both our panelists speaking with us, other political voices here on this as well. and our correspondent Srija with those details. Remember, this is the reason why this is now being seen as a political protest, because you have a prominent member of the Congress, Rahul Gandhi, stepping in and supporting people of his constituency in Wayanad. But should there be more thought added to this? Why are these protests taking place? Yes, they have intensified, but what is the nature of suffering? There is an alternate route that is being used. It is inconvenient, but for the larger good, as the argument remains here, which is perhaps why the Supreme Court decided as well, for the larger good, has been so positive for protecting the wildlife in the area that this is a ban that needs to continue. Thank you for being with us.